ahead.
It looked like Cam and Daryl both were able to move around a little bit today.
Yep.
In the non-viewing portion.
Yeah, they were full participants today, so that's good.
So how do they look?
They look good. They got a few reps, and so that was a good thing. Like I had mentioned, Daryl was able to get a bunch of full speed work the other day. Cam looked good today, so expect all hands on deck.
Where's Van Jefferson at right now?
He's making good progress, just kind of taking that a day at a time right now.
Sean, with Jonah Williams, how tough has he made it for you with his training camp that he had?
He's done a good job. He's really been a consistent player. He understands how we want to be able to play up front, and so that's been a real positive. We got some good depth across the D-line. I think when you look at Eric Henderson, Skylar Jones, they've done a great job really being able to develop. Obviously, what a great example they have in Aaron to see what it looks like every single day. But I've been really pleased with Jonah Williams. He's a guy that we have a lot of trust in.
So how challenging is it for you to have this day where you have to, look at your team and decide who's going to be here and who isn't?
Yeah, it is. You always want it to be challenging. You never want it to get any easier because you want to make sure that the right empathy is demonstrated. But I think the best thing that I could say, Maria, is in a lot of instances, you got your 53, you got your 48, but then we've got 16 guys that are going to be on the practice squad that in my mind are still part of this team. And, I think there's this narrative, if you just watch Hard Knocks, that as soon as the 53 is done, then that's it. There's a lot of fluidity that goes on, as you guys know as well as I do. And so there's going to be some tough decisions, but in my mind, a lot of these guys that are here with these 80 are going to be a part of our team as it relates to being on the practice squad. And if a guy ends up, if we release him and he gets claimed by another team, you're nothing but happy for those guys. And there's been a lot of good tape that players have put out there. They will make tough decisions for us, but I'm excited about really, today kind of representing the first opportunity to trim our focus towards an excellent football team on the 8th, and the sense of urgency has picked up a little bit.
Sean, on that, you always call it a champagne problem that your guys get hired out to
Yes.
different places, but as you get into cut downs and the waiver wires and all of that, do you guys kind of have, not your former coaches, but internally here, do you guys have that conversation about, I know this guy's waiting, if we cut this guy, I know he's waiting for him?
You do, and I think the one thing too is you don't minimize, that this is the way that guys, make their living. And so if you can help, even if it's not for us, that is important. And that's why I think in a lot of instances, especially some of our younger players that don't have as much experience, they get a great opportunity to put 3 weeks of tape out there that really shows what kind of players that they are, whether it be for us or for somebody else. And so, we want to have the most competitive roster that we can always have, but if we end up having to release a guy and he gets claimed, you're sincerely happy for those guys, and then when we see him, you're trying to get after him.
Is there anything in particular you're looking to see from Daryl this season, maybe that the next step or anything like that?
I think really just the consistency of trying to avoid some of the things that we can do in terms of being available. Daryl's always been such a stud, can do so many different things for us. With the ball in his hands, he's dynamic. He's a great slash runner. He's got great skills out of the backfield. He's tough as hell in protection. So there's not any limitations in what Daryl can do when he's available. It's just, hey, sometimes you can't prevent some of the things that occur, as you know, Gary, but are we doing everything to kind of develop the armor and the foundational strength for your body and just your weekly rhythm and routine to sustain throughout the course of the year? And that's part of why we were a little bit, I don't want to say reluctant, but erred on the side of caution with getting him back. But he looks good, and I love Darrell Henderson.
I know it's not game week for you guys, but once you get past Tuesday, what does this week look like as you get rid of the bubble?
Yeah, so once we get through Tuesday, the CBA mandates that you give guys 3 days off. For us playing that Thursday game, Sarah, our players will be off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll practice Friday. Saturday will be like an in-season Tuesday off. And then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday represent on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Can you repeat what I just said right there? So that's kind of what it'll be. We've really got 4 good practice opportunities with Friday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then we'll have the day before the game, and then September 8th will be here before we know it. It'll be fun.
Just leading into tomorrow's deadline, do you see some positions that might be tougher than others when it comes to making those decisions?
Absolutely. That's what we're getting ready to meet on as a coaching staff here and talk with Les. But that's the goal, is these guys have made these decisions difficult for us. There are a lot of layers to it, but we never go into it where there's a finite number of certain positions. It's it's that 53, but then that 48 drastically shapes kind of the latter part of the roster, if you will. And so there'll be some challenging, but the right types of discussions, and then we'll have to make those decisions tomorrow morning.
I think I saw in the past that you you want to be in that room when those conversations are happening, even if they're hard conversations. You're plenty experienced now. Some of these guys, it's the first time they're ever going to have that conversation.
Sure.
What's that like for you navigating that?
I think, the one thing I realized when you come from Washington where you're in a coordinator role after they've already got the information as opposed to you're the one delivering that information, it never gets easier. But I know this, in a lot of instances when you're delivering that tough information, sometimes guys don't really hear a lot. And so you want to be clear, open, and honest, but also to the point, but also empathetic and appreciative of everything that these guys have done. I think in a lot of instances, if the communication is what we expect as we're navigating through this process, you don't ever want to have guys truly caught off guard, but you want to be able to give them the respect that's been earned and kind of let them know if they have the questions exactly why the decisions were made. And they might not always agree with it, but at least, our intentions are what we think is best for a football team. But it's a tough time. You don't ever want it to get easier, kind of like what I mentioned. But clear, open, and honest, direct, and straight to the point is the best way that I've kind of learned over these years. But again, it's never easy.
A question on
Last
Kyler
one,
Williams
guys.
real quick, Sean. How is he looking? For a rookie, it's hard to pass protect. Is he doing okay in that area?
I think he is, and until you play live tackle football, that was one of my favorite things about him, evaluating him coming out of Notre Dame. He wasn't afraid. He's got great, contact balance, got a low center of gravity to be able to get up through people, good technique. The one thing I really liked about his game, and that Rashad and Thomas and Liam and our coaching staff was you could see a lot of the things that Tommy Rees and those guys at Notre Dame were asking of him is very translatable to the NFL. You don't punish guys for not doing the things that you can't, they're being asked to do within the framework of their systems, but it does sometimes make it an easier eval, and that's one of the things that you saw with him, and we'll find out when it gets live, but he's also shown that he's really capable of that. Okay? Thank you guys.
Sure.